Okay, so we're recording, and I want to make sure you understand that whole concept. I'm glad most of you seem to grasp that concept of the datums. We're going to come back and put something in that basement level soon. And I'm going to use a feature that maybe you aren't aware of in order to do that. But before I do that, I want to go to level one. And I want to do something that's very basic that you all understand, I'm sure, and that's how to put a door in, right? You click on the door command and you've got a 36-inch by 84 door. But notice that doesn't look like the kind of door you would put on the front of your house. What's nice in Revit is if you go low to family and you go down two doors, notice there is a commercial residential option. If you click on residential, you notice you get some doors that look more like residential doors, right? So I'm just going to say that I'm going to put in this fancy front door with the arch in it just for argument's sake. And I'm going to select the door that is what? 36 by 84, which is 3 foot by 7 foot. And I'm going to place that door right here about 5 feet from there. Okay? Now that's not important. At least we don't think that's important. But when I go put in another door and I want to go back to one of these plain single flush doors like this one, and I place one here, what's nice is that I don't have to keep coming back here to put that same door in. Some of you might be familiar with a command in Revit. If you click on it, it's called Create Similar. And if you click on Create Similar, it allows you to put another door just like that in. Now, what if I didn't want that door here anymore? In most cases, I would delete that door. What if I wanted to put that door on this end of the building? There's a number of things I could do. One thing I could do is click on that door, and then I could use the what? The mirror pick or draw axis. And if I click on draw axis and I find the midpoint right there, you see that snap? Or if I just come here and I type in SM, that snaps to mid and draw a line. You see how it put one on the other side of the building. I'll undo that for a moment. And I'll delete that door. What if I didn't want a door on this wall? Some of you might delete it and then put another one in. That would seem logical. But if you click on that and you come up here, notice there's something there that says pick new host. Doors and windows have to be hosted by walls. They can't sit out there on their own. So if I click pick new host and I simply click that wall, now that door moves to that other wall. Okay? So in lieu of deleting several things and then inserting them again, picking new host allow you to move those things to wherever we want them to be. And that pick new host is handy in that way. Okay? Now, we talked about before how we have this house and we've got a floor on the house, but we also have a basement. Well, what are we going to do about this basement level where there's nothing? Well, naturally, as you know, we have to have a foundation for a house. And some of you might know how to do that. But it can be challenging sometimes if we don't know where the outlines of our walls are. So one of the features that a lot of people aren't aware of is over here in the properties browser, when I go down, there is something in here called Underlay. And with Underlay, you see it says none right now. But if I wanted to see the level above, if I click on this and I say show me level 1, very faintly I see level 1. Now, what I don't want to see in level 1 is the roof. So, if on my key, and I'm going to show you a few different ways to get to this command. If I go to view and I click on visibility graphics, I get this, right? Where I can shut certain things off. A shortcut to get there is either to type in VV on the keyboard or VG on the keyboard. I'm going to scroll down and say I don't want to look at roofs. Apply that, and now all I see are the walls. Now, if I want to draw in foundation walls, what can I do? I can come over here to architecture, click wall, and click on wall structural, right? When I click on wall structural, notice right away you see something odd, and I'm going to let this go through so that you see the mistake. I'm going to say that I want my walls to be drawn, right, to a depth of 20 feet. I really don't want that, but I'm going to do it just to show you how to fix it. If I click on pick lines, right, have I even observed what I'm drawing? No. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go down and I'm going to say, give me a generic 12-inch masonry wall, or I could select foundation 12-inch concrete. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to leave 12-inch even though typically residential is 10-inch. And I'm going to say pick lines. And I'm going to pick my outside lines. Now, notice right now I'm picking what? I'm picking my grids. I don't want to do that. So if I hit the tab key, now I pick the walls. And if I hit tab again, you see how it switches the walls? Notice how that happens, right? I click that one and it says none of these are visible in the floor plan. You may want to check the active view and fix it. How do we fix that? Well, let's look at what we have now. Now we have a strange wall that's what? It's going from the basement level down. I don't want to adjust that dynamically in here. I want to make that work in a different view. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to my basement level. Well, first I'm going to come in here. I'm going to delete this, right? I'm going to delete those. Go back to my basement level, and I'm going to click on one of these datums, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say hide in view category. Now all I see are my walls, okay? Now, if I want to put those walls in, I say wall, structural. By default, it wants to go to a depth, but notice what I'm going to do. Look at this base constraint. It's going to be the basement. I'm going to change that to 0. And then I'm going to say up to level 1, hit apply. It's saying top constraint is invalid. Why? It's because I'm drawing a structural element. Now I'm going to pause the video for a moment. Okay, so we kind of talked through the whole structural and why it wouldn't let me draw them. So in this instance, I'm going to go to wall, and I'm going to hit structural. Again, I'm limited. Can I fix that? Well, I can say I don't want this base offset. And I can say I want it to go up to level 1, but notice when I apply it, it doesn't give me that. So how can I get around this? Well, I'm going to get around this by going in and saying wall architectural. I still have option to use this, and the main thing I have to do is do what? I have to change this to 0 because the basement is my datum that I'm drawing from up to level 1. Now, hold on a second. Okay, everybody, so what I did when I went to draw that architectural wall, right? You see how it's still wanting to go to the depth? I go to wall and I say architectural, right? And I say that I want to draw it not unconnected, but to level 1. And now I'm resetting the constraints of that wall. I'll click on that. You'll get that same message. And now if I go to pick lines, right, I can pick these lines. But even then, I need to return my datums because I undid that point. And you'll do that sometimes. So we'll get this right this time. And let's see. Wall, architectural. And then it should go to level 1. So my constraint should be the basement up to level 1. Okay. Hold on. Something is not cooperating. Let me get out of this command and get back in, people. Sometimes Revit does have a mind of its own. All right. Now I want to draw to level 1, and I said my wall is architectural. Okay. Not sure. So, okay. So we're at basement. I want it to go to level 1. And I reset the constraints. All right. And now it's drawing it to a depth. It's really acting strange. I'm going to click there, click here, 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 and here. And now if I go to my 3D view, you see I've got walls that have run up into my house. But this is a good happy accident. I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to hover, tab, right? I'm going to click all those walls. You see how I've got these foundation walls? Now what I'm going to have to do is reset the constraints. So do you see where they say level 1? I'm going to change those to basement, and I'm going to change this up to level 1 and hit apply. And now those are working. And we went a long way to get that done, unfortunately, but now you can see how it's sitting on that. Now the next step I'm going to do, right, I'm just going to go over here to the structure tab, and I'm going to put a wall foundation on here. I'm going to click on that. You see how that's a 3612? I'm just going to do a 241212. I'm going to hover over this wall, hit the tab key, or I'm just going to click on that actually, and it's going to select all of my walls, and it's going to put a foundation on all of them. Okay, that's your next step. A little confusing, I apologize, but you see what can happen if you start drawing with structural elements, but you're in an architectural environment. And that's what I wanted to show you without the added troubles. But it was good that we saw that and we saw how to adjust it. You won't have the same trouble when you're doing it next time. Okay.